Hey guys, what's up? It's iPenguinPat here again, and today we are going to be talking about the 2020 fall event and how I spend my ingredients. I had enough of you ask for me to show you how I spend my ingredients, so here I am and here's the video. Meow, before I begin, I do want to share something with you that I thought was really awesome. This character named Mooing Cat, who happens to have one of the better screen names that I've heard of, has a really awesome video on setting up the fall event buildings, and also he's got a really cool builder on how to set those up. It's in some of the links in these descriptions. He's got this tool, and I highly recommend you check this guy out because his stuff on sets is really awesome. This thing, you can build sets and it tells you how it works, how many attack and the attack per square and all kinds of stuff for us data nerds. So I definitely recommend checking out Mooing Cat, FoE. He looks like a raccoon for whatever reason. I don't know why, but his stuff is good. Please check it out. Subscribe, like, give him some love because it's good stuff. Okay, so moving on to ingredients in the fall event. Now, I went ahead and I rushed the quest line as far as I could. Well, not as far as I could, but I was moving at a pretty good pace. I got through 41 quests, and just so that I had some ingredients to be able to show this. And one thing that I noticed, that there was an abnormal amount of requests that required you to motivate and polish, and that means that you have to aid a lot of people. And you know, I have to say, it made me think of my friend DK, because he is always complaining about how he doesn't get enough aids, and he just loves getting aids from his friends. So I know this event has to be one of his favorite events of all time, because there is so much aiding and aid sharing going around. This is definitely an event for DK. So that's my shout out to you, bud. Okay, so a couple things about spending the ingredients. First of all is deciding what you're going to spend your ingredients on a daily standpoint. Meow, some of you guys already have really awesome cities and there's not really a lot of room for you to grow, whereas other players are just starting out. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. I would say that most advanced players are going to be targeting things like the Sentinel Outpost upgrade, which I pointed at backwards, and the September Cottage, because those are the pieces as dailies that can either give you attack for your defending army or attack in general. Meow, if you're a beginning player and you're working on getting your forge points per day, then you might be looking at something different. You might wonder, should I do the September Cottage or the Mill of the Fall or the Cider Mill? And the way that I approach this type of thing as a starting player is I look at how many forge points am I getting from a daily prize or daily special. And what I mean by that is for a given event, you may get somewhere in the range of like 10 to 15 daily specials. Usually that's about average or on par for what you get. So you want to budget those in a way so that that gives you the most forge points per item that you get. And then the same thing, it also works for advanced players too. If you're trying to build up your attack or build up your defense for attacking armies or whatever it is that you were trying to improve on, I personally am looking at how much can I squeeze out of my daily specials. So looking at the September Cottage versus the Mill of the Fall versus the Flourishing Cider Mill. Well, I say Flourishing Cider Mill, just the Cider Mill period. Just to kind of go over these, for you to get the maxed out cottage, you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? You need 7 daily prizes in order to get the fully upgraded one. And the flowery one gives you 6 forge points. So at that point, you are technically not as efficient on a daily special standpoint as you would be for a Shrine of Knowledge. A Shrine of Knowledge is 1 forge point per day per daily special. However, it is worth noting that this only takes up 12 squares. So 6 forge points in a 12 square space is very good. That's half a forge point per square, or 2 squares per forge point, just depending on how you break it down. Now, if it's me, I still recommend going with the Appleton Cottage because it gives you the attack. And the reason why I say that is you're trading off 2 forge points now that aren't really that big of a deal for being able to renovate this building and have more attack later. And eventually you are going to prefer attack over forge points. It may not be early on in the game. It might be a year down the line, but at some point you are going to say, wow, I wish I had more attack. I already have enough forge points. Now, the middle of the fall requires 7, so level 1 through 6, and then the last one is 7. And the colorful middle of the fall, which gives you the most forge points, is 3. So that is a really, really poor return for your daily special. It is 3 forge points for 9 squares, so that's 3 squares per 1 forge point. So it is so far outclassed by the September Cottage in every fathomable way. There is literally no way that I can see targeting the middle of the fall over the September Cottage in this event. So anybody that's asked, I think 1 or 2 people mentioned that they saw this coming up. I would say this is definitely not something you should target. You can pick these up in the antique dealer, and you might hear me call it auction house because I played WoW at one point. You can pick these up at the antique dealer if you're trying to level them up and you're early on, but especially the more advanced you get, this is not going to help you. Meow, the last thing is the flourishing cider mill. And I say flourishing because that's the maxed out one. Obviously, there's the blooming and the fruitful and so on and so forth all the way down. But generally speaking, you're going to want to go for the maxed out one. And that one is a 3x7, and it gives you 7 forge points. So in this case, you're getting you're getting 1 forge point per 3 squares. So it's not as space efficient as the September Cottage, but you only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You only need 6 dailies to get 7 forge points. So from that standpoint, the cider mill, actually, you could make an argument that it is a more efficient option for you than the September Cottage. And that being that if you only need 6 daily specials to get 7 forge points, that's more than 1 forge point per daily special. So that's better than what you would get with the Shrine of Knowledge. Obviously, the downside is it does require population. And the other downside is that it can be plundered, and it is definitely a plunder target. I know that if I'm attacking and plundering, cider mills are definitely a major target. So keep that in mind when you're picking this, especially if you're in a neighborhood with notorious plunderers. This could be a bad item for you. So really, with all that said, I would tend to say if you're going to target your daily specials, I would either go with the Sentinel Outpost and the Outpost upgrades if you are an advanced player, or I would go with the September Cottages, especially now that you can get those in the antique dealer. So even if you fall 1 or 2 upgrades short, you can end up picking them up later. And I did some number crunching. I've got a spreadsheet for it that I'll show later. But the September Cottage is right now, especially for top level players, maybe the second or third best. Maybe it might even be the first best building in the game until the Halloween event. It's really, really good. All right. So now that I've talked about that, let's talk about the actual spending. And I'm going to put a note about skipping to this point because I'm 8 minutes in and I haven't even talked about actually spending. So here we go. Actually spending the ingredients that you get. So the first thing that I like to do is get an idea of what I'm going to be spending my ingredients on. And the first thing that really jumps off the page to me, you've got your 3, your 2, and your 1-star recipes. And I'm always looking at what amount of percent of daily special am I getting per currency. So in this case, per ingredient. And things like the snickerdoodle, which is 1 cinnamon, it's 10%. That's a really high ratio of daily special to ingredient. Same thing for the chocolate chip cookies. So your cinnamon and your chocolate chip cookies are going to be like those are going to be the ones that you really want to get the most of, followed by pumpkin and caramel. Apple is pulling up the tail as far as that goes, but you're still looking at 6% for 1 ingredient, and that's still pretty good. Now, when you bump up to the 2-star recipes, if you look at these, most of these are not even 6% per ingredient. Here for the pumpkin caramel cheesecake, that one is at 14. And frankly, when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, all right, well, the caramel, I could get 10% for 1 caramel, and then the pumpkin is still 8%. So, if this were 18%, that would be equivalent-ish. There's some math involved where it's not quite the same, but generally speaking, that would make it closer. So even the best 2-star recipe is still far below what you can get for the 1-star recipes. So generally, I tend to favor the 1-star recipes in general. And then bumping up to, I said general twice. I said generally in general. Somebody's going to call me out on it if I don't call myself out on it, but I admitted it, so that makes it okay. 3-star recipes, you're looking at 5%, not like, what's that, 3 1/3% repeating. I can't even divide 14 by 3. I'm not that smart. So it's not even 5%. So the 3-star recipes, as a general statement, are extremely suboptimal, and I just will avoid those when possible. All right. So let's actually do some spending. Oh my heavens, I've got all kinds of stuff to reset. Oh well, you know what? It's only going to take me a couple more minutes, so you guys can see that stuff needs to be reset. All right, so as I look at this, I see the ingredients that I have available to me, and then I start to kind of look across and see what type of percentages I'm getting. And here, this is between these two, it's kind of a toss up because the apple is only 6%, whereas this is 6.5%. Apples I have the most of. I'm just going to go ahead and use the apples. And here's the thing, here's the goal, is I want to try to use my ingredients as evenly as possible. And the reason why is because you are at the mercy of the recipes that come up. And the absolute last thing that you want to have happen is for you to have a run on a specific ingredient, and then you have a whole bunch of one ingredient that's left, and you're totally out of other ingredients, so you can't spend the ingredients that you have. That's worst case scenario. So you really have to make an effort, even if it puts you into suboptimal situations, to keep your ingredients fairly even. Now, I also will point out my chocolate is already starting at a lower point. So this chocolate cake or whatever it is, yeah, chocolate cake, taking up 2 chocolate, there's just like, oh, no, just no. All right, so here we're going to go ahead and move along these. And then, so as I look at this, I see the chocolate chip cookies. That's an automatic. 1 ingredient, 10%, I'm going there. Okay? Even if I don't get what I want, eventually I will. So now this is an interesting one because it's 4%, but it's my 2 best ingredients. So I would never pick this one if I have the option, or 2 of my better ingredients. I guess it's not the best. So here I'm looking at, do I want to do the pumpkin or do I want to do the apple because the caramel's the same? I look between these two. Pumpkins, I mean, I have more apples than I have pumpkins, but it's enough better that I'll go ahead and go there. That in that case, it could go either way. Here, that's an easy choice. We've got our snickerdoodle, and so on. So that's my general premise. I'm generally, like I said, I'm going to avoid these 3 stars. I'm typically going to go with the 2-star. Now, this is actually an interesting situation, and maybe the only situation where I might go with a 3-star is cinnamon and chocolate are my 2 best ingredients, and I really don't want to waste those on a 4% per ingredient chance. So I'm actually going to move over because I have plenty of apples, I have plenty of pumpkins, and I'm not going to waste my chocolate because I'm low on chocolate. So this is one of those cases where going with the 3 was actually probably the better choice. I don't know if it was for sure. Here, chocolate chip cookies, that's a given, that's a no-brainer. And that's it. That's my approach, right? I'll just go through. And the reality is that you're kind of at the mercy of luck on this, obviously. I mean, when you're dealing with such small percentages, there's only so much that you can do to control this. And from there, you're just kind of at the mercy. Is NO going to hook you up? And so far, I haven't been. Oh, look, there it is. So there's one. So my wife was telling me that earlier. She went ahead and she purchased the first diamond, or the one set of diamond here, this one here, and based off of this, I think she ended up getting like 4 or 5 of the selection kits. So now she has a fully upgraded cottage. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's not crazy, but that's excellent in general. Now, keep in mind your 6 ingredients each is definitely going to be your best spend for diamonds. And I would definitely say try not, even if you're going to spend a bunch of diamonds on this event, I highly discourage starting off by buying a whole bunch up front. And I do the same thing with the archaeology event as well. And I will when the Halloween event comes out. And that is, I try to use my ingredients as evenly as possible instead of rushing heavily on one ingredient. And the reason why is because, like I said, you don't want to end up in a situation where you have so many of one ingredient and you don't have enough of another, and then you are stuck and can't cook anything, you can't make anything, and you're stuck having to spend diamonds to move forward. All right. So that's the general process of how I approach spending my ingredients. That's how I approach selecting which daily prize I want to target. And yeah, and that's really about it. So if you have any questions about how to approach spending your ingredients, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. If you have any questions about what should you target for this event, please feel free to also leave that in the comments down below, and I will be happy to answer. It may take a little bit to get back to you. Real life is crazy busy right meow, and I can't always answer questions. So please don't take it personally if I don't get back to you. I definitely appreciate the comments. And last but not least, if you found this video to be helpful in any way for how to take advantage of this event, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. I'll catch you guys later.